We now return to Piracy Watch on DZRJ 810 AM, the voice of the Philippines. Here is your host, Sarah Jane Sigitan.
All right, welcome back, folks, to Piracy Watch. I'm your host, Attorney Sarah Jane Sugitan, and we're talking about cartoons with Mr. Michael Colin, Executive Director of the Animation Council of the Philippines, and Mr. Harry Tambuatco, TV talk show host and political commentator. How's that? You like that, Harry?
Yeah, I know, the political commentator part. I guess you can say that because I do put my foot forward all the time. I hope it's not in my mouth, but I do put my foot forward. But then again, I only try to talk the truth.
Well, okay. For all of you out there, do check out the Animation Council of the Philippines Incorporated website. It's www.animationcouncil.org, and their email is info@animationcouncil.org. For those of you who'd like to join in the conversation, leave us a message at 897-8374 or 895-4460. Now, before we pause for a short break, Michael here was telling me that the animation industry here in the Philippines is worth 8,000 employees and grossing 125 million US dollars as of 2009. That's 2009, inclusive of everything. The movies that are outsourced here, the advertising, short films, farce, political satire, and everything. So it's a big industry that needs to be, well, it is protected kasi copyright from the moment of creation. And of course, their biggest concern, is the title of our show, Piracy. All right? Although it doesn't really have a detrimental impact in terms of employment here because it's outsourced. So the problem of piracy is the problem shouldered. It's absorbed by the company that is outsourcing it here. Here we just worry about content. So that's great. That's great for the animators. All right. So before we close the show, I'd like to know, who are your favorite cartoon characters? How about you, Michael?
Well, I've always been a fan of Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse, classic.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse. And you, Harry?
The difference with, intellectual property will play a very, very big role when it comes to the animation industry, because the originality, even though you have the software and the computers that have already taken over this industry, the end result, just like TV, the content is still the actual drawing. The creation of a character, which is basically single dimension. Mickey Mouse is created basically on paper and pencil. And until today, with all the jazzed up computers, it's still the one dimension, the creation. And when you create that character, when that character lives on and you don't patent it or you don't register it, someone will definitely steal it. You were saying earlier in Florida?
University of Florida.
Gatorade. Can you imagine? The title Gatorade, we take it every time you need, it's not just a flavored drink. Pag nagkulang ka ng electrolytes, you look for Gatorade. Now, Gatorade's a common household name. Now, the students who created that within the university, regardless of the intricacies of who gets the royalties, I mean, if that was not protected, it's the same old story, what happened to Freddie Aguilar, how he lost his ownership to the to the song Anak. Now, in animation, it's a very big deal. If these people, if the animators and your association don't begin to police them for their own security, you will lose something they have no idea that they're already losing. Because any other country will start picking it up. Now, the difference here may be because, you tell me, attorney, ang IP ba territorial? Yun ang problema. So you have to register where, di ba?
It depends on the intellectual property, the kind of IP. If it's trademark, it is territorial. But for example, here we're talking about copyright movies. So it's not necessarily territorial. Whoever created it first. Now, that's the question. It's a question of time more than a question of
So you have to register it, archive it, register it. Kumbaga, inotarize mo para sigurado on this day, it's a public document. Akin yan, di ba?
We created that. Under the law and also treaties, international law, there is no copyright, there is no formality, there is no registration requirement for copyright. The problem is when it comes to litigation or a conflict arises, we don't know who created what first. So, yun yung problema. It's not a requirement for anything copyrightable, a song or article or in this case movies, no. There's no requirement to register your copyright because you own it from the moment of creation. However, the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines is already laying down the foundation for a registry. at least doon, there's a database. It appears here the name of the artist, what he created, and not necessarily depositing the work, no, or giving a copy to the IPO. Pero at least for all the artists out there, they will have, I mean, they cannot claim ignorance na I didn't know this creator in that country made this character first.
That will help a lot of our artists in the Philippines, and the Filipino is very creative, even, be it for music, poetry, authors for books, animation.
Music.
Yeah, music, definitely.
Yes.
Once, sana madaliin na ng IPO because a copyright registration will begin to protect the individual rights of the creativity that comes out of different people. And that's very important. Dito kasi, ang Pilipino, alam naman tayo, ang tawag dito, flattery of course is the ability to copy the next guy, so they say, but it's also it's also a detriment of owning your property. The creativity of people have to be really registered to safeguard their potentials. And in this case, only intellectual property really has this. Although a lot of people still really don't understand, you know. That's why it's amazing the ignorance of so many people. Maybe this is good that you have this radio show and you have a TV show, diba? In GNN on Global News
every
Network.
Friday nights at 7 to 8 and
7 to
Saturday
8.
12 midnight. With replays Saturdays 12 midnight to 1 in the morning.
Yeah, and
over
you
GNN.
promote different issues, be it for copyright, for patents, for trademarks, trade names, so that at least maintindihan ng publiko kung anong kailangan natin proteksyonan.
Yes, that's right. Definitely. Michael, any messages to our listeners out there to please protect and promote our local animation industry?
Yeah, just if you have the talent, if you've got the skill, then don't be afraid to pursue it. Kasi before, pag sinasabi nila, ay, drawing lang, hindi ka kikita dyan. No? Yung mga misconception before. So now we already have a lot of animators na develop na yung kanilang mga talents. So if you know you've got it, then develop it and come to the Animation Council and we can help you.
Yes, that's right. Check out their website. It's www.animationcouncil.org. And for those of you who'd like to protect their intellectual property, please go to the IPO website. It's www.ipopphil.gov.ph. Okay, thank you very much, Michael and Harry,
Thank
for
you
joining me
also.
this morning to talk about cartoons and how to... All of you out there, if you have a favorite cartoon, please don't watch the pirated version. It kills... It really affects
Yes.
the creators, diba? Show some respect. So thank you very much for joining me this morning. Up next is Mr. Jerry Cornejo. And
Is
do
it
join
Jerry
us-
Cornejo? Isn't he called MacArthur?
Okay, up next
Isn't he
is
Douglas MacArthur coming up?
Coming up is MacArthur. Okay?
Douglas MacArthur is in the house.
All right, so join us again next Tuesday at 11 in the morning for another edition of Piracy Watch. Thank you and good morning.
You have been listening to Piracy Watch with attorney Sarah Jane Sigitan. Piracy Watch is an exclusive presentation of DZRJ 810 AM, the voice of the Philippines.
This is